What is going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned in to a very special edition of the HFWB podcast series. This is your host, Clifton Pope, and with me today, I have a very special woman who's just a very special soul the moment that I've met her. And the reason why is that when it comes to me, for those who know me very, very well, it's like the journey into the health and wellness world and taking it a little bit deeper from a holistic standpoint and basically from an overall natural living standpoint. When I met her, it's like we clicked on so many different ideas, values, and beliefs because there's one thing we have in common. It's all about healing from within, and we're doing it through nature, of course. And where I'm going with this, the person who I'm basically going to bring on, her experiences as like a homeschooling mother, military veteran, holistic health coach, basically specializing in helping entrepreneurs and business owners reverse preventable illnesses using medicinal herbs and everything. It just speaks into volumes of who I'm basically going to bring on. And with that being said, I want to welcome everybody, Miss Healing Through Nature herself, the lovely Miss Sharmane Harrison, to the HFWB podcast series. Sharmane, how's it going?
I am not. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
No, you deserve it from all this from all the stuff that you bring to the table. Plus, when I was looking at your website a couple of times, it's like, yeah, I had to bring you on because it's like we need more people like us to spread the message as far as the holistic approach, the natural living approach, because it's like I feel like it's more important more than anything. And I feel like you can definitely elaborate on it, probably just as much as I can, if not better. Which leads me to asking you, Charmaine, when people ask who you are as an individual, for those who are listening to the HFWB podcast series today, how would you best describe yourself?
um, well, you guys are welcome. My name is Sharmane Q Harrison. I would say like to keep it simple. I'm just a woman that went from a victim to a super survivor, and all the odds were stacked up against me since birth. I always say my trauma started there. I came out of the womb. Like you said, we all have a story, right? So I'm
Yes.
not here today to go into that deep story. Like I'm like, da, da, da. But my trauma, with my trauma, I didn't allow that to stop me from being who I am today, which is a mother, a military veteran, holistic health and wellness coach that specializes in medicinal herbs. But for me, I grew up in the deep south, and I like to say you don't have to be raised on fried fish and grits to understand that was a time where you ate what was or what was not put on the kitchen table, right? The
Yeah.
day.
You
And
ate
so
what your mom and dad cooked for you that day.
absolutely, absolutely. So, sometimes what I realize is sometimes that shapes your beliefs, your health. It impacts your health as you get older because we emotionally eat. And so, and I'll definitely get into that. But today, my qualifications, I've been able to heal myself from preventable illnesses that I was told from doctors that basically that was impossible when I did. You know,
Mm.
um, so my goal today is to raise that self-awareness to understand that you can create your own healthy reality despite of any circumstances that you go through in life, any trauma, any past, So that's what I want to do today. I want to be able to share that story.
No, that's it's great because it's like we need to go on more of this healing revolution, so to speak. I remember it's funny how I mentioned healing revolution because I actually read a book called The Healing Revolution. It's by Dr. Frank King, and I remember that was kind of like my introduction to like the whole natural living approach, the more just getting more in tune with just earth within itself, and it's like the importance of that is just it's well needed because you don't have to be a victim to like medicine as far as from the pharmaceutical perspective. You can take another approach, and of course, like you alluded to, Charmaine, go back to the medicinal herbs and that kind of nature because people don't realize from a good period from like I'd say 1850 maybe to like I don't know 1930s or something like that. That's how we healed ourselves before big pharma took over, which is something that people don't talk about. That's that untold history. But overall, this drive, as far as what you went through, as far as what you overcome, like, where does all that come from within yourself? Is like, what sparks you to kind of like go on the mission that you're currently going on?
That's a good question. So when I was 28 years old, I heard the words, "Sorry, Miss Harrison, there's no cure," from my doctor. So for 28 years, I was unknowingly digging myself a slow grave. Like I was literally dying because of the
Mm-hmm.
things I was eating from the pharmaceutical drugs. I was dependent on the pharmaceutical drugs. I was told that the condition that I had called lichen planus, that was an autoimmune condition. And if you are familiar with autoimmune condition, it's told that the cells in your body begin to attack itself, which, like I said, it's called an autoimmune response. But,
Mm-hmm.
for me, one day I had to be honest with myself. I had to sit and stare in the mirror and had to realize that the only thing attacking my body was literally me, by my actions, by the things that I was doing. My body was responding to something that I was doing to it. So it wasn't easy. The journey wasn't easy because I had to learn self love. I had to learn self awareness. I had to learn self discipline. And that's a lot of times that's what we lack. And then from that, I learned that it was my responsibility only to become self awakened when I began my journey, because, when I go deep into, what I'm going to speak about today,
Yeah.
that's how you free your health from hostage. And I say free your health from hostage because too many people are surviving through sickness, right? They're like, oh, I
Yes.
have to take these pharmaceutical drugs. I have to live this way for the rest of my life. And they don't see
Yeah.
any other option. And that's definitely not true. So as I'm speaking, I hope that those listening take away, the value of learning how to get out of that, how to become their own doctor, how to stay out of the hospital. Because it's not
Mm.
fun being in the hospital. It's not fun being in medical school.
No,
It's
no,
not
it's
fun
not.
just waking up saying, oh, well, I can't today because I don't feel good. When you have your health, that stops you from everything. Literally, you can't, people have this drive nowadays, go get the money, go get the money. You're chasing money, but if you're sick in the hospital, you can't go get anything. You can't spend time with your family. So your health is
Yeah, that's the
your
truth.
priority.
No, but I was gonna add to that, Charmaine. It's like a wise man once said. I actually the wise man who I'm referring to. It's Kendrick Lamar. I remember him saying this in one of his songs. He said, "You're worried about your career. Do you ever think about your health?"
Hmm.
So it's like that right there kind of summarizes everything you said. And I also want to second another thing you said as far as you being your own doctor. It's like we give enough attention and put enough pressure on the doctors and nurses of this world today. The least we can do, at least, is try to take care of ourselves and realize that if we just listen to our body and we put the right food in our body versus like living to eat more, eat to live, we can make a difference just by doing that, to where we can cut down on those doctor trips and everything. Because it's like they went through enough pressure alone based off of us barely coming out of a pandemic and everything. We don't need to be adding any more pressure onto them at this point, because they're humans just like we are at the end of the day. But I love how it's like your approach is healing through like a natural diet, and then offering like a fitness experience like no other, and then on top of that you're adding your natural herbal path coaching on that. It's like you got yourself a nice little package as far as just a blueprint for healthy living. How would you describe that to someone who is interested in something like that but don't know how to go about it?
So for the most part, I basically the journey starts with self awareness, right? So when I speak to a lot of people, they're not honest with themselves. And if you're not honest with yourself, you're not gonna be honest with me, right? You're not gonna get on the call. So and that's what I expect from most people because I ask the question when I get on the call. I ask them, hey, what's going on? What does your nutrition look like? That's one of the questions. That's not where it starts. It starts holistically, but one of the questions is your nutrition. 90% of people that I speak to instantly go, well, I would say maybe 90% instantly go, well, I don't eat this, I don't eat that, I don't eat, and I said, hey, I didn't ask you what you didn't eat, I asked you what do you eat, and it kind of
That's a
showed me
difference.
that
That's a big difference.
absolutely, absolutely. I said I didn't ask you what you not. So I have to, be patient and over time, over about a few minutes, they open up and like, okay, well, so being honest with yourself, honestly taking an assessment and saying, hey, what's going on? We're so booked and busy and doing this and doing that and working and, trying to do business and trying to do this and raising children. And we don't really sit down for ourselves and take that time for self care. So the journey
Yes.
actually does not start nutritionally, the journey starts holistically. And so when you take that assessment and you say, hey, I'm suffering with this illness, I'm doing that, sit down and some of the questions that I ask, and I hope people listening can also write this down. Some of the questions that I ask is, hey, are you let's see, I asked about nutrition, of course. How much sleep are you getting? Basic necessities, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? Are you consuming a lot of meat? Are you consuming a lot of dairy? Do you consume? When I say a lot, it's subjective too, because what's a lot to them might not be a lot. A lot
Yeah,
of
it's a
people.
difference, you know,
Right, right. So
portion sizes and
that's
stuff.
a list. Absolutely. So it's just a list that I go down, and I have people do self-assessment. And, I hear a lot, oh, I suffer from X, Y, and Z, but overall I'm healthy. But if you're suffering, you can't equate suffering to being healthy. So
Mhm.
self-assessment is one of the first things that I had to do for myself in my journey too. Um, and that's really where it started. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny because it's like whenever you do ask someone as far as like their nutrition, and they always like to say go to what they hate versus what they love. If they start with what they love, they could literally build off of that, and then they could probably find more things that they love off of that, so much to where they forget about the things they hate to begin with. Just to add on to everything that you're saying, of course, if is
Absolutely.
there
Yeah,
if there's a
should be negative and positive too. I think we live in a society where, like I said, you ask a question about, what do you eat, and it's like, I don't like this, I don't like, because they're already projected in their minds that they have
yeah.
to starve themselves, diet. I gotta starve myself. I gotta, do this. I gotta run 10 miles. I hate exercising. So we have to, kind of switch that perspective for them, and teach
Oh
them
god.
something that they can
No.
actually do.
I think I read somewhere one time, Charmaine, where it's like 75% of the things that we think are negative, counterproductive, and work against us. So I feel like everybody's stuck in that 75% to where we could look at the 25% and say, oh, there's a chance we don't have to be stuck in the negative and the counterproductive and always working against ourselves when we can work for ourselves and everything. Speaking of that, Charmaine, is there a particular client that you could think of as far as who was like working against themselves and for themselves to where even it was to the point where it was like, wow, this is definitely an unforgettable experience I will definitely reflect on and look back on for the future? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Absolutely. So, when I work with people, like I said, like I took the stigmas from the beginning. I took pull the stigmas from underneath them. So one of the things I guarantee is 25 pounds down, 25 pounds down guaranteed within 6 weeks of working with me. And that's simply because the people that I work with, that's what happens. And they're not starving themselves. They're really surprised because a lot of what we do comes from a lot of like weight that we gain and illnesses that sit in our body from trauma or habits and things like that come from stress. And so that's one of the things that I focus on. So with the clients that I work with, they'll try so hard to come up with every excuse right in the beginning. Why they can't, or why they didn't start, or why this, or why that, right? And so when I come in and kind of ease their mind, I'm like, hey, what do you enjoy eating? We actually focus on what do you enjoy? What tastes good, and so to you, things like that. And then I educate them, but I also go to the point where I kind of inspire them, motivate them, and then also that's where we actually start at in the beginning. So they're not overwhelmed. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you talk about diet and nutrition. So easy to get
Yeah,
overwhelmed.
it
And
is.
so, working, and I take my time, with clients. I take my time. I don't rush them. I'm not, the program in itself, some of the programs are awesome. Maybe a certain amount of time, 6 months, a year, whatever. But that doesn't mean that I stop working with you. I don't give up on you unless you give up on yourself. So that's something that's been really helpful with the clients that I work with. Just not giving up and just being patient with them. Coming from a space of understanding, because honestly, it all depends on how bad um you're hurting. Not so much
Yeah,
physically, depending on the illness, not physically, but emotionally. How bad do you want the result? How bad, you know? And so that plays a huge factor in it. Like for me, when I was 28 years old and I was diagnosed with my autoimmune condition, I was motivated. I was ready to get rid of it because of the simple fact that it left my hair falling out, it left my skin burning, bleeding, itching. My pores were 95% covered in lesions of pigmentation. So it was a lot going on, and I was never the same. But even though the doctors told me, hey, there was nothing I could do about it, then something inside of me said otherwise. So it depends on the drive that you have also. It depends on how bad you want it. Are you doing this because you want to look good for summertime, because you want to go on a vacation? You know, and are you doing this because, you don't, or are you doing this because you don't want to be a burden on your children when you get older? You don't want them to have to take care of you, when you get older, you want to have enough energy to play with your grandchildren and be around for your family. Are you doing this to change the trajectory of your bloodline? Things like that.
yeah,
You have to have a bigger vision when you work, especially when you work with me. You gotta kind of align. You gotta have a bigger vision outside of I want to look good in the summertime.
yeah. And add to all that, and I agree with everything you said. It's just like all things are created twice, mentally then physically. And then, like you just said, how bad do you want it? And to take it even a step further, how much do you have within yourself to hustle out of that victim mentality to where you could become victor and become victorious and basically achieve that mission as far as whatever it is that you're striving for, and finding the right motivation really just to keep you going, keep you inspired, and just keep you more determined than ever just to accomplish that exact vision and just focusing overall on the bigger picture, because it's definitely worth more than words can describe, that's for sure. And for anyone who's listening to the HFWB podcast series right now, Charmaine, and who wants to basically get like some sort of like inspiration as far as just to get them on that right track towards natural living, what would be like your go-to key pieces of advice you would tell them as far as someone who just wants to overall be the best version of themselves, so to speak?
Um, so you gotta know why. We hear that a lot. You gotta know your why. Like you were saying, it has to be bigger than yourself. So you gotta dive deep into why you want to start this journey. Because motivation gets you started, but it's not gonna carry you through. You know, your whole life or anything. So you have to get self-disciplined. So once you know your why, you have to ask yourself. Like there's layers of the why. So you have to continue to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Why is that? Because I want to look good. Why you want to look good? Because of the why. So you have to get down the layers of the self-esteem, the self-image. You have to get down to the nitty gritty. So once you're able to do that, you're gonna have to make some choices. And you're gonna have to make a decision. If this is what you want to do, because you got to take that self accountability, and you have to start focusing more on prevention than self-restriction.
Yeah.
So I tell people that also it's not about, once I get clients that come to me because they just want to detox. They may already be vegan or something, let me make it healthy, let me put that out there. um, because, I focus on detoxing. A lot of people come to me and they want to know, what do I eat? What do I eat? And I'm like, this is not a journey about what you're eating so much. It's a journey about how to get rid of the illnesses, the toxins, the waste in the body.
Yes.
And
All
a
the
lot of people,
mucus.
think, hey, this is the liver and the kidney does that. No, the kidney and the liver will not filter anything out If you're constantly consuming toxins, which we naturally get, makeup, air freshener you put on the car, plugins, toxins, all that candle. We light a scented candle. All those are toxins that we don't even think about on a daily basis. When you're walking around without shoes on, toxins absorbing in the body. So some toxins are not, it's not about getting rid of them 100%, but it's about pushing the waste out, and that's why I consider myself a detox specialist. You have to push the waste out of the body, and you have to understand the why. Why are you doing that? So it's not so much your why for your health journey, but well, it is talking about the why for the health journey, but why you're pushing the waste out, what's going on in the body, and you need to understand what that can turn into also. So if I do
Yeah.
it, what will happen? Is it worth it? What is my health worth? You know, so that's the deep questions that I ask people when they come to me, because I'm just the experience that I provide is basically freedom to free yourself you know. So it gets deep. It gets deep when you
It
start
really does.
peeling back those layers.
It really just comes down to the simple fact of just knowing yourself and knowing your worth and just knowing that your decisions that you make, good or bad, are going to determine your destiny as far as what it is that you're trying to do at the end of the day. And it's like people want to focus on how they can like detox themselves and stuff like that. Sometimes it just comes down to just drinking a lot of water sometimes, because water can definitely flush out a lot of those toxins. And it also just comes down to another thing, just figuring out, actually realizing, like the great Dr. Sebi said, rest in peace, the root to all disease is basically mucus. Once you get rid of that, you get rid of most of any diseases, and you will literally build yourself a bulletproof immune system. I'm living proof of that at the exact moment, because that's what got me through the pandemic and kept me from getting as sick as I did before everything went down and all that stuff. But overall, Charmaine, we're actually at the point where I'm going to ask you like a list of questions that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast, but I'm going to tweak them a little bit for yourself, of course. My first question is this: what is the first thing you do or think of every day that you wake up, every single morning?
When I was in gratitude, I think about
Mm.
gratitude because the simple fact of the matter is, when I was depressed, when I was going through anxiety, when I had all these labels, right? And I felt like I couldn't function in life, I got to drink and I got to smoke, and that's how I had stress and, things like that. That's how I felt, right? So I was waking up, and I hadn't realized I was waking up every day angry, which that sits in the body, that affects the liver. I was waking up every day, finding something wrong, choosing to be upset, you know.
Right.
And so I had to change that narrative. I realized that over time I had to change that narrative because I came from a space where, I was adopted. I went through trauma, sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, drug abuse, alcoholism, all of the above. And so, growing up, I got to the point where, I'm so angry and affected my health. And so, after a while, I got tired of being angry. I just got tired. You got to get tired. That's sometimes what it takes to get tired.
Yeah.
And so now to the space where when I get up every day, I realize I'm not homeless anymore. I'm not dependent on alcohol anymore. I'm not dependent on, these things anymore that's harming my health. And you have to realize that you're blessed. You're blessed. Regardless of your belief system, you are blessed. You're blessed. Even when I was homeless, I kept telling myself, I'm blessed. Look at that.
Yep,
Absolutely.
it says it on my coffee cup. For those who are watching on YouTube, I'm drinking a nice big green machine smoothie out of my blessed coffee cup. And you're absolutely right, Charmaine. It's like, me personally, I take time out of every single day to write down in my journal at least 4 or 5 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And I try to write something different just to practice gratitude, because when you practice gratitude, it makes a tremendous impact on your overall attitude and shapes your overall behavior, and it brings out a more gravitating energy that draws people into you for sure. And I feel like this next question is going to be an interesting one from your perspective. When you think of the words health and wealth, what is your personal definition of them in your eyes?
Well, health and wealth align with one another. Um,
Yes.
because the simple fact, because I like to share my experiences, of course. So I was to the point where I was just really sick all the time. I lived a life where I was just really sick, depending on antibiotics all the time, pharmaceuticals, and things like that. And so with me, over time, I was able, to get to the point where I was building my business, right? I had the
Hmm.
idea I'm gonna go start this business helping people because I overcame my ailments, changed my narrative, things like that, right? When
Hmm.
you are healthy, your health has to come first to build that wealth, number one. Because the simple fact, when you're not healthy, you can't think. How are you going to create and build wealth and sustain wealth and do all these things if you can't think? You can't get up. You're sluggish all the time. Everybody wants to get to the bag, right? They get to the bag and all these things. But half the
Right.
time, you have to have a certain mindset. You have to practice fasting. You have to
Yes.
practice cleansing and detoxing and remineralizing the body. You have to practice, getting to bed at a certain time, not staring at the blue screen all day. You have to practice these things. You have to be intentional about it. And when I was able to do that, my whole life changed. That's when the wealth started coming in, understanding that health is wealth. And I'm not talking about just from a financial standpoint, but an abundance standpoint. When you're healthy,
Yes.
your family,
I
it changes
agree.
your family. Wealth doesn't necessarily mean money. It could mean, your relationship with your significant other, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your friends and family. When you're healthier, you get out of that victim mindset because it goes deep down into gut health, honestly. Gut health plays a huge role. I did a master class where I was explaining how, a lot of the times the anxiety and depression does not come from the brain, it comes from the gut.
Mm.
We have hormones
Yes.
that are built. A lot of our hormones comes from our gut health, and when we lack that gut health, that's why
Yes.
we can't think. That's why we have depression. That's why we have anxiety, and we're doing
Thank
something
you.
about it. We're labeling ourselves and being dependent on smoking and drinking and doing the things that do not help.
Yeah, there's a reason why they say trust your gut and follow your gut and all that kind of stuff because it's like it knows things. It seems like it dives into the future and sees like, okay, this is exactly what's about to happen, and we don't pay attention to it, and then it's like, no, I'm telling you, this is exactly what's gonna happen. You need to be aware of what's going on, and it goes back to the whole thinking factor and everything, and it's like when it comes to thinking, I feel like the best way of doing it is like meditation, yoga, all that kind of stuff. If you had to pick out of the two, which what you feel is more effective, what would you say is more effective out of those two, meditation or yoga?
Meditation is the more most powerful. Yoga is more physical, but meditation
Yeah,
is more mental. It's the ability to focus, and a lot of people think
right.
that because I tell people all the time, meditate, meditate, and they think that they're like, "Oh, I can't meditate because I can't turn my brain off. I can't." I think there's too much stuff that's existing. It's called a practice for you. Meditation is not something that you wake up and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna sit here and go, that's not the stigma behind meditation. Like you sit there, you go and then you're supposed to cut your brain off. And that's not what meditation is. Meditation is
No,
something
it's
that
not. It's a lot deeper than that.
absolutely. And when you get to that point, like I said, it brings you back to clarity. It brings you back to being able to think. And it's like I tell people, it's a practice. If you like meditation skills, right? The first thing I tell people, do guided meditation. So go on YouTube and listen to guided meditation. Put some headphones on and listen to guided meditation. First and foremost, start there. Start on focusing on one word. Find a word and focus on it and see how many times you can just repeat that over and over and over. That's an exercise one of my listeners gave me. So that was amazing. Because it's the ability to focus. So if your mind is all over the place, right, like most of our minds are, it's boring. Sitting down, you don't know how many people I speak to that say they don't get 2 minutes a day to themselves. They
Oh my
can't
God.
find the time. They can't find the time, and then when I I'm
I
like,
hate it when people say that we all have 24 hours in a day for a reason. It's just a matter of how you're utilizing those 24 hours.
absolutely, absolutely. So they say, they don't have the time. And I know for me being a homeschool mom, my time, and I hear this like, right? You hear a lot of successful people saying, "Oh, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning," right? And it's like, for me, I'm nope, 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 nope. Unless the ancestors tell me to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, to do anything because of the simple fact I'm a single parent. So for me, when I wake up, my child wakes up. That means I'm cooking by 5 a.m., cooking breakfast.
There's
And
nothing wrong with that.
different things. So for me, my meditation time might come before I go to bed. It might come, finding out time throughout the day to sit down and take a bath or something and just relax. So it's different times. You don't have to. I just want to put that out there. There's a lot of
Yeah.
moms that I speak to, they're like, oh, they say, like, I'm like, you don't got to do that. If that's not you, you don't have to do that. But you do want to find some time, whether throughout the day, that's going to help you to have that time. 10 minutes, start with 10 minutes, 5 minutes, start with something and build your way up. Healing is a journey. It's not
Yes, it is.
you wake up and you're perfect. So,
And I want to throw a little bit of a quick story time out here as far as on how well me and Charmaine connected. We went to eat at this Hawaiian poke bowl restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and she put me on a different type of like healthy meal to where I was just drawn in on it and everything. And where I'm kind of going with this, when it comes to like healthy dishes, so to speak, what is your go-to favorite healthy dish and why, Charmaine?
so I eat a lot of raw food. And the reason I eat a lot of
Yeah.
raw foods is because in raw foods, if you don't know, raw foods consist of any food that's not like cooked or just fresh. So that could be things like eating kale as is, eating fruit as is, eating vegetables as is, zucchini. You just cut it up or you just eat it like that. That's a raw form of consuming. And the reason I do that is because that's where like when you eat raw foods, it gives you more energy. So everybody's looking for energy. They're looking for energy. Come to me, they're like, oh, I'm sleepy all the time. I'm this and that. And so when I tell them, hey, start consuming more raw foods, it actually helps them a lot. It gives you that energy, it hydrates you, makes sure it gives you that hydration that your body needs when you start consuming more fruit, more greens, more things like that. I just feel better overall. And I'm not
Yeah.
hungry. Let me put that out there. People think, well, I'm not eating like a bird, I'm not eating like a rabbit. That's not what that means, right? And so for me, I make these big old bowls of salads and big old bowls of soup, right? And I keep them separated, eat them at different times. But you're not going to be full. If you sit down and try to eat a whole watermelon, I guarantee you're going to be full.
Yeah, you will. That's and kind of like eating like 7 or 8 bananas or like a whole thing of apples. You gonna get full the same way you eat like some meat or something. So don't underestimate the power of fruit or vegetables. That's all I'm gonna say there. And overall, Charmaine, I'm gonna do a little bit of either or with you to see which one you would choose. Kind of pick your brain a little bit. Out
Okay.
of loyalty or respect, which of the two would you prefer?
Respect.
Mm,
Respect.
simple, straightforward, to the point. I love it. Next one is this. Would you rather live in space or live in the ocean?
Mm, the ocean.
Interesting, interesting. Would you rather be famous and poor or anonymous and rich?
Oh, and I'm listening.
Interesting, interesting. I don't know why, Charmaine. I could just tell from when we met a couple of weeks ago for the first time. I don't know why. You have like some sort of like vibe within yourself to where it's like you have such a great taste in music just naturally, which leads to me asking you this. Would you rather dance or sing to every song?
Yeah, yeah.
And to stick to the music trend that we're on, say for instance, Charmaine, you were trapped on an island, right? And you can listen to five of your favorite artists, music artists, any genre, all their albums catalog for the rest of your life. Who would they be and
Mm.
why?
So now I got to pull up on YouTube.
Odd that you could think of all their whole catalog.
All right. Okay. So that's funny because I have different playlists here. So for sure, let's see. I know Miguel. Miguel, for sure. Very neo soul vibes, very calming vibes.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I would do. What else I have on here? Anything like Caribbean music. So Caribbean music for sure. Um, so that's not obviously, genre, but
All right.
um,
Yeah.
what else? Um, spiritual music. So anything like shaman music or anything like that. Anything I can all day I can listen to that. Um, let's see, so Caribbean music, shaman music, Miguel. I like Louisiana. That's very calm. Another very calming. And then I said Rihanna.
That is a vibe that will probably maybe get you off of that stranded island eventually, because someone will listen to it and be like, "Oh, where's that coming from? I want to go where that is." And speaking of going and traveling and being all over the place, a lot of people don't notice about you, Charmaine, is that you've literally been all around the place. You're not afraid to pick up and go and travel and explore the world, which leads to me asking you this. Where is the favorite place that you have traveled so far, and where would you like to travel to next?
mm. So my favorite place that I have traveled is Bahrain. And Bahrain
Okay.
is in the Middle East, a little island in the Middle East. Um, and it was amazing over there. Beautiful, very beautiful. Military took me over. My family over there. Visiting there. So it was very beautiful, very different, very like calming, very calming. Like that's just me. I'm very I like anything calm and peaceful and things like
Yes.
that, but fun. um,
Yes.
but yeah, so Bahrain for sure is a place, and a place I would like to go. Um, I would say Africa, somewhere in Africa, so Tanzania, or also somewhere in the Caribbean. So
Mm.
somewhere in the Caribbean, yeah.
And hey, you got the Caribbean music playlist to go to it while you in the Caribbean, so it'll be a complete vibe within itself, Charmaine. So I could see that picture with you. I don't know why, but I could see that. I really can. And I wanted to also ask you, Charmaine. I know you're like one of the busiest people that I know, of course. When you're not doing all the things that you're doing, name a particular thing that you like to do that many people may not know that you enjoy doing, like as far as hobbies and stuff.
hmm So I like to be out in nature. So I like to go hiking. Um,
Okay.
I spend a lot of time with my daughter. So the beach, hiking, when I like picnic, um, things like that. So I've taken my daughter, like we got um mechanical bull riding. So we like
Mm.
to do mechanical bull riding, kayaking, anything to do with like the water, being by the water or anything like that. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Always staying in tune with nature is always it's a good way to disconnect from the world and just find yourself and get clarity in a whole lot of things. That's for sure. I can agree with that. My last question for you, Charmaine, before we wrap everything up, it's an interesting one. Say you had the opportunity to go back in time and talk to yourself, say 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself? And where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Let's see. So if I had to go back and speak to myself, my old self was very hard headed. She's very stubborn. She's very stuck in her ways. So can't say too much to her. It's for too many words. It'll go over her head. Like what you talking about? So I would probably keep it simple and tell her to choose life, choose to live, and choose to heal. Yeah. To wrap
Interesting.
it all up through all the experiences, just to keep it simple, choose through life. Because at some point I didn't value my life. I didn't want to be here on this earth. Went through so much stuff. I thought I was the only one in the world, going through it, right? We have that where we think we're the only person to ever go through it. We don't want to share. And so sometimes that trauma, affects our health. And so choose life, choose to live. So don't feel stuck. At some point in my life, I felt stuck. I work, I go home. That's it. That's my life. I work, I go home, take care of my kids. And we get stuck in that cycle. We don't realize that it's a whole world out here, and you don't need
Yes.
money to explore it. And that's what I love about nature. You don't need money to explore it. Go outside, take a walk. Find different things to do. So I choose to live. Do these things. Go out. Don't overthink it. And choose to heal. Definitely. Make that choice to go on that journey. You know, so absolutely. And it's a journey. There's no stopping point. But every step of the way, there's a choice. There's a choice. So that's what I would tell you. So,
And where would you see yourself within the next 10 years?
I think in the next 10 years. So right now I am working on a few books. Getting books published. So my overall aspiration is to be an author. I've always wanted to be a best-selling author, right? And so I want to
Mm,
be. That's why I answered the question earlier. Would you rather be, known and famous and or unknown and rich or whatever? Yeah. And when I answered that, that's exactly the lifestyle. I want to be able to write my book and help people and leave it at that. Travel around and be able to do that. I do not want to be like out there in the limelight. I want to help people with their story and stuff, but more in intimate settings, which
mm.
leads me to another thing that I want to be known for, which I'll be starting this year, herbal retreats. So I want to build a herbal resort, luxury resort, and also rehabilitation center, where we take individuals who are suffering with preventable illnesses, take them and show them a different lifestyle, show them that they can heal through herbs and medicinal herbs and just living a better lifestyle and releasing that trauma. Things like that. So in 10 years, I definitely would like to build that up, which I'm working on now, right? You gotta start early. So I'm working on chipping away at that right now so that vision can manifest for sure because we want to have different locations around the world internationally, right? So,
You're going to be staying busy and you're going to be staying productive. And it just goes to show you, Charmaine, that you are truly, one, a walking miracle, and two, just a traveling light, just inspiring others just to elevate themselves to the point to where they not only reach their potential, but they exceed that potential. And it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. And it's like, your work is incredible, and you basically deserve your every single flower that you deserve to get at the end of the day. That's all I'm going to tell you in regards to that. And speaking of your overall work, Charmaine, where can people get in contact with you, number one? And two, how can they reach you as far as like the website, all that good stuff?
okay, so if you are a entrepreneur, business owner, or military veteran, you're looking to raise your vibration through nature and heal by nature, as I call it, and go from dealing into healing, and break the cycles of generational illnesses and, just if you have a bigger vision for yourself, for your health
Mm-hmm.
and your life, then definitely you can go to my website, www.healbynature.org. That's www.healbynature.org. If you go to the bottom of my page, you have all my platforms. So I speak on Clubhouse. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, all these things. Oh, back.
Yeah, you were
So
talking about your website, healbynature.org, and all your social media platforms.
yes, so it's all on my social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Clubhouse, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that is on my actual website. And if you want just more tips and health tips, then you can subscribe also to those free health tips. I do a lot of free webinars, master classes, about 3 hours long, where I help individuals. So it definitely, if you want to do that, check out the website. Yep.
Well, that works perfectly. I mean, all that information will definitely be resourceful at the end of the day, Charmaine. And I just want to thank you so much just for taking time out of your busy schedule just to simply bless us with an appearance on the HFWB podcast series. It's always a pleasure, and it's all love, and like you say, gratitude, definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Charmaine, and for everyone listening to this episode of the HFWB podcast series, this is your host, Clifton Pope. Y'all stay healthy, wealthy, and blessed, and have yourself a wonderful day, and peace and love, y'all.